Hi, everyone. So, welcome back to Christy and Coimbra. I hope that my fan isn't giving you a lot of feedback. If so, bear with me. I will get a better microphone later to cancel out that noise. But it is hot as hell here in Portugal, so I need this fan for right now. My home, as beautiful as it is, it does not have heating nor air. So that is part of the trade off for having a house with historic charm. It's charmingly hot when we are under a heat wave. So I wanted to come to you today because I have been fielding a lot of questions. I've explored becoming a creator, I guess, I don't know, on TikTok. And so, which I will leave it there. It's not my favorite thing to do, social media at all, but I do realize its value in helping you to disseminate information, and that's where a lot of people are getting their information from these days, along with misinformation and disinformation. So I'm hoping to be a resource for actual, verifiable, true, helpful information. And that being said, a lot of questions I'm getting lately are how I moved to Portugal, what inspired me to move to Portugal, how I made that actually happen. And so I will try to cover those. Forgive me if I'm jumping around a bit, but I will try to cover all of the things I've been hearing the past few times I've gone on and seen questions or comments from people. So, originally, what made me want to move abroad, my mother is the one who brought it to my uh, remembrance that I actually have wanted to move abroad for quite some time, more than 20 years ago, and put that on the back burner because my mother was a little concerned. My daughter was only 4 at the time, and my mother was very daunted by me moving far away with her only grandchild and me being her only child. That was a lot for her. So I kind of put it on the back burner and totally forgot about it until I would say about 10 years ago. I started looking very seriously at moving abroad 10 years ago. Something in my spirit was just telling me that the country of my birth wasn't it. And for those who are curious, I am from the United States, born and raised. That's a question you get here a lot too in Europe. It's like, oh, where are you from? And I'll say, the US. And they'll say, where are your parents from? And I'm like, the US. Where are your grandparents from? The US. And so I think what they're trying to get as to like what's my ethnicity, what's my ancestral link, and I tell them I am Black American. I don't know what tribe or village I'm from. Your guess is as good as mine because a boat ride intercepted that ability for me to trace that back. You know what I'm saying? Being taken and get my ancestors being taken against their will kind of does not allow me to trace back my history and acquire a second passport like some other Americans have the privilege to do. I'm sure what I do know is that we have some Irish ancestry, but am I able to secure that Irish passport? Because I can't prove which grandfather came from which village. It's another way that systemic racism really harms African American people, but we'll get into that another day. But yeah, it's an interesting question when you get that because I'm like, I'm American, born and raised. It's the country of my birth, the country of my raising. I've never lived anywhere until here before. So it's just funny to get that. But yeah, I decided I wanted a different way of life. And I've been an entrepreneur since 2008, self employed since 2008. Straight out of college, I worked in corporate real estate as a financial analyst. My degree's in finance, my minor's economics. And so I worked in commercial real estate for several years before I decided to strike out on my own. Co-established a construction company with my husband at the time, and then had my own real estate brokerage. I've been a licensed real estate broker in the States for over 20 years. Still am a licensed real estate broker. I was a licensed general contractor. Lady builders, we get it done. But yeah, and so I have been self employed for a really long time. But as the years kind of went on, I would say, like I said, about 10 years ago, I started really questioning if this was the path I wanted to continue on. And it felt like I was working really hard for very little. I was paying my people more than I was paying myself sometimes. and just to have people show up and be able to get the work done that needed to get done and all of that, it just became very tiring and very exhausting, especially wanting to raise my baby in the safest environment possible and always being concerned if it was okay if she would go here or there. It was okay if I was at the grocery store or if I was walking through the park. My head was constantly on a swivel, and I thought there must be a better way to exist. I would give up a lot of things if I could have a more peaceful way of life. So again, 10 years ago, I started really considering different countries and started traveling really extensively. And I think by the time I got to Portugal in 2020, this was my maybe 12th or 13th country. And before this, I thought the Netherlands would be my spot. Still love the Netherlands. I still consider it like a second home. Um, I really thought that was it until I came to Portugal for the first time. And as soon as I stepped off that plane here, I felt like something was calling to my soul. A lot of people here will say that to you, but I really feel like there was something really magical and spiritual. I don't know if it was its proximity to the mother continent because we are quite close to Africa. Um, it was something that really just, and that was definitely a serious uh, bonus for me, a serious pro in the pro column that it was so close to the continent of Africa. Um, Very, very large factor in my relocation considerations. But I immediately felt a draw. And then after exploring further and seeing how much of the diaspora is actually here, that was a huge selling point for me. To see myself reflected is very important. I don't have to have everybody look the same as me. I would not want that, quite honestly. I love the fact of diversity across cultures, across backgrounds, across countries. You know, despite the current theme, it seems, for many across the world, we are in fact one out of many one. And so if there was any guiding light for me in my life, in my purpose in this life, is that we have one string connecting us, right? There's commonality, and I was really seeking that, and I am always seeking that, to find the commonality across culture, across community, and to build community. And I felt immediately that I found that here. And so, yeah, I think I covered why I moved abroad, because I was seeking out a different quality of life, a safer standard of life, a more relaxed standard of life, one that where hyper capitalism and hyper consumerism is not at the forefront. I think that's going to be the death of the world, quite honestly. Argue with somebody else, not me. I believe that. And so I wanted somewhere that didn't seem as committed to those structures as some other places. As far as what I miss from the States, other than people, really nothing. I miss family and friends, they're being in close proximity to them sometimes. But the reality is, how many of you have friends and family? How often do you go really see them? Um, it's a plane ride away. And so, yeah, the ease of it is a little bit more challenging right now. But other than that, I can't say that I miss much. If anything, and here's my American side coming out. If anything, I miss home goods. Anybody who knows me knows I love to entertain. I love to play hostess. It's my jam. I love to set a table. I love making people feel welcome. Like I said that before. I feel like Jay-Z, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. And so if someone comes into my home, I want you to feel like it's an experience, like I am honored to have you. And so placemaking is a big deal for me. And yeah, so I miss home goods. Not always. I'm trying to really divest of, and I think I've done a good job of it, of hyper consumerism. Um, so sometimes I wouldn't go to home goods necessarily to shop. It just helps me decompress. So I miss that. I do miss the convenience of things sometimes. I don't miss Target or Walmart or anything like that, but just the ease of finding what you need. And that comes, I think, just from being an immigrant in another country. You don't know where all the things are, so to speak, right? It might be in this cabinet versus that cabinet. I'm using that as a metaphor. But eventually you find your way. And after almost 3 years, 3 years here, I feel like I've pretty much found a lot of the pieces that I need, the tools. I have the tools and the resources that I need to make my life easier. So we have many, amenities here. It's not like we're off in the, mountains and I have to send a telegram and ride a donkey to get mail. It's not like that. It's just that, in the States, we're very spoiled. You have 100,000 different types of toothpaste. Do you need 100,000 types of toothpaste? Absolutely not. And here you still have a lot of options, but it's a little bit more toned down. And what I love the most about it is when I spend money here, I go to my local Tashka or cafe or what have you, I know 9 times out of 10 I'm supporting a real small business owner and their family. And I will take that all day, every day. It does something to my soul. It does something to my soul to go to my Portuguese butcher who understands I'm struggling through learning my Portuguese and who is patient with me and tries to teach me the names of the different cuts of meat in Portuguese so I'm not asking for the wrong thing or sounding crazy, or when I do sound crazy, he's patient. And so I love going to Montalio. I love going to my shoe repair guy who I have to sometimes beg to let me pay him because he thinks it's such a small thing, like, oh, my strap broke. And he's like, hi. And he'll fix it and then just give it back to me. And I'm like, no, I need to pay you because I would be hopping around with a broken heel if you didn't fix my shoe. And so I just love the fact that there's a sense of community and not so extractive and exploitative. That being said, I do realize that my Portuguese brothers and sisters here face challenges, which we all across the world are facing. They face very real income wage disparity, and especially the Afro Portuguese versus the rest of the population, but just Portuguese in general are struggling with the wages here versus their purchasing power, especially when it comes to housing. So that's another point I think I want to make is that wherever you're going to relocate, you're not a tourist. Like, unless you're coming there as, I guess, a digital nomad trying to spend 2 months here, 3 months here, go the next place. If you're coming somewhere to live and that country has been good enough to open its doors to you, the very least you could do is try to learn the language, right? The very least you could do is try to learn their political system. Is it a parliamentary system? Who's their president? Who's their prime minister? Who's in charge of your junta, of your town, your camera? Go to your city hall. Like, you should be a responsible citizen, no different than you would be in your home country. And I think I don't see that enough. People trying to really educate themselves about the current state, because when we know the challenges that the native born population is facing, we can be more respectful and thoughtful about the choices we make and the impact we have. I was very thoughtful about picking this city versus being in Lisboa or Porto, specifically because I did not want to add to the financial pressures on the rental market. Now, because it's caught up to me here in Coimbra, that my house is now way more than I would like to spend, and I hesitate to say some things. I actually think it's my landlord is asking way more than they should, considering that very few Portuguese people would be able to pay or willing to pay for this price. And so I probably will move, but I don't know if I'm going to move from Coimbra. I ideally would love to be closer to the ocean, but that doesn't mean I have to be in one of the more congested areas. There are plenty of places right outside some of the major cities that are beautiful and easy to get to. For me, transportation is a big deal. I need to be near a train because I have no interest in driving right now. I think eventually I'll get a car. And I definitely will get a Vespa at some point, but I don't have the interest in driving like I used to. I used to be a driving fool, and now I'm just like, yeah, let the conductor do the train. I don't even think about it. Let me get my book out and read while I get transported to Lisboa or wherever I'm going. And so, yeah, I just think that those are some things you should think about when you're focused on a move abroad. Like, it's not vacation. It's really about adjusting to your new lifestyle and understanding that you have real impact on the people who are born there and who would like to continue to live where their families have been for a long time. And if you are more considerate about those things, perhaps they would be more open to accepting you. I thank God for my vizinhos, my neighbors. They have been such a blessing to me, and it's been a privilege and an honor to get to know them. They saved me even when I was going through some tough personal times. They were a light in my life. When my dog was not doing well, my neighbor sprang into action and was like on the phone with the vet and saying, because I don't have a car, she's like, you need to get someone here in Portuguese. And before I knew it, a van was here to take my very large 145-pound dog to the vet for testing. And he was amazing afterwards. So I hope that I think we have been able to establish those relationships because my neighbors see me really striving to risk embarrassment sometimes with my terrible Portuguese. Yeah, I won't say it's terrible. It's getting better and better every day. But with my young Portuguese, and I think I try to, you know, make sure they know how much I am appreciative of being here because no country has to let you in anywhere. But when we are there, be good citizens, right? And what else do I want to say about moving abroad? Oh, I see a lot of people being very discouraged about the possibility of moving abroad for them if they don't have a bucket of money. And I'm not going to lie to you, I came with a bucket of money. I don't have a bucket of money anymore because I used my bucket of money to get here. But what I did was, and I believe in transparency. I mean, I think so much of the world suffers because we refuse. Don't look at my terrible nails. I'm getting them done tomorrow. But so much of the world suffers because we put on airs with each other and we don't use the opportunity to learn from each other and to really grow together. And that's really like no everyone's performing, and I don't know why, because for who, for what, I don't get it. But what I did is I came over here. I sold my home, which allowed me to have a set of funds, a savings that allowed me to fund my move, to be able to secure my health care and everything else here. It was a blessing to me. Now I mean, I'm working because I am not financially retired. I don't have a pension coming in. Like I said, I've been self-employed for many years, put a kid through her private school her whole life, and then through a very expensive undergrad program, and now she's finished her graduate program. And so yeah, and I've used my funds to also build a home and invest before. And so there is no magic pot of gold for me, so I have to work. But that did allow me to have the beginnings of being able to get out. If I were doing it again today and I did not have a home to sell, quite honestly, I would sell every stick of furniture that I have in my house, and I would use whatever tax refund I got instead of blowing it in Vegas or Miami, which people tend to do, or Cancun. I would use that to go abroad, even if it's just for 3 months, 6 months, if it's in your heart, and explore that. Like, you owe it to yourself. That's more valuable than any purse. And I'm a purse and shoe girl, or at least I was. I'm not that much anymore, which is crazy, right? Your priorities change. Um, but the experience you'll get from that will be so much more valuable than anything you could ever put on your back or carry on your arm. So I would encourage that, and I would say there's so many non-traditional ways. You don't have to be a digital nomad with your own business venture. You could find remote work, and I know that's easier said than done. But there are positions available for you to find. It's just about networking your way to them. I think, because I found that to be a challenge for myself. LinkedIn ain't gonna do it. It's really about I know that's terrible grammar. My mother's probably going to text me about that. She's a grammar police. But I think that is one option. Also consider, I don't care what your age is. I am almost 50 years old, and I am heavily looking at going back to school this fall. I already talked to a couple of universities here about that. I'm going to get my master's. So you could, and there are lots of institutions across Europe And I'm telling parents that too. Please consider that for your child. Please. There are so many institutions here that they can attend for free or very little money. And some of them even offer a stipend. If I had it all to do it over again for myself or for my own little person, I would definitely have done that a lot earlier. So if you're just looking to have the experience of living abroad, but you don't feel like you have all of the funds that you want to make that happen, go go to school. Like it's a process that will pay you in so many ways. You'll be improving your skill set. You will have the opportunity to study abroad and make, probably, especially if you're going for graduate school or undergrad, you're going to make some of your best friends probably of your life, because that experience alone tends to forge lifelong friendships. Maybe not a whole bunch of them, but if you can get a good one or two, you're golden. um, Immersing yourself in a culture and setting yourself up to be able to work abroad after you finish that program. So I think it's something like a non-traditional way. Go to school. Seriously, like, go to school. Avail yourself of education as education in the States becomes more and more out of touch, out of reach for a lot of people without going into serious debt. And so I would explore that. I would explore volunteering abroad. There's programs where you can get free room and board if you help on a farm, if you help build something in a village. And it doesn't always have to be in a very like rural, remote place. There are lots of volunteer abroad opportunities. Um, I'm going to say DuckDuckGo is your friend. I know that Google and YouTube are intertwined, but Google or DuckDuckGo, not DuckDuckGo, DuckDuckGo are your friends. Like, do a little bit of research, you owe it to yourself. So I just wanted to hop on here real quick while things are in my mind. I'm always in my head about making sure I have the content to be as refined and perfect as I want it to be. But what I'm learning is that sometimes you just have to, like, with your hair blown to all hell, just say what's in my heart before I forget it, and we'll just be imperfect and grow and learn together. So I hope this helps someone. If you have any questions, always, you can feel free to email me at info@christiancoimbra.com. You can check out my website, christiancoimbra, COIMBRA.com. It's in the channel description as well. Or if you have that information, you can always WhatsApp me or text me. But there are multiple ways. Follow me on Instagram at Christy and Coimbra and at Christy Goes Global. And you can check me out on TikTok at Christy and Coimbra. So there are multitudes of ways to see what kind of stuff I'm shooting the breeze about. So hope this was helpful. Till the next time, ciao, ciao.